So there's been a lot of talk about why Donald Trump is sending in the military to Portland and Chicago and all these other places. And there is a rumor about why he's doing it. Can you explain it, JTrain?
The rumor is, and I want to back it up before I get into this rumor and explain another thing that happened. So, because they're, in my mind, equally cognitive dissonant. So remember when Trump sat down with the news media and he's like, Fredo Garcia is MS-13. Look at this picture. And it had
in Times New Roman font
photoshopped across the top. It wasn't even on the knuckles. It was like literally above the knuckles or like right at the edge of knuckles.
Yeah.
And it was supposed to be like, oh, well, these things on his knuckles mean MS-13. But it actually had the letters MS-13.
S1. Like he said it.
And like Trump's like, look, it's right there. Yeah. Look, MS-13. And he didn't understand it was photoshopped.
That is how retarded our president is.
People were like, wait, did he think that the actual Photoshop meant that was actually the tattoo on the MS?
He did.
So, well, that's my opinion. I can't tell you what goes through that Adderall latent brain. But anyway.
MAGA, explain that. If you saw him talking to that, that interviewer, and he was trying to say that the Photoshop MS-13, that was a horrible, horrible look for our president. Defend him, MAGA. What was he really saying there?
I watched it twice. And that's the thing, though. Like, the judge clearly said there was no evidence he was MS-13. All the evidence presented had nothing connecting him to MS-13. The allegations against him were false. The judge has shot it down repeatedly. So Trump literally, as far as I'm concerned, lied on camera to the American people, or he was completely mistaken and misled, which, you know, if you're surrounded by yes men and you don't understand technology, like, that's a thing. So anyway, fast forward to today. So he's like, oh my God, Portland's a war zone and like people are dying and shit's on fire. And he's like, oh God, we got to deploy the troops right away. And the governor and everybody else is like, what the hell are you talking about? And the news media is like,
yeah, the governor said,
oh
no,
God,
we don't
look
need
at these
you.
guys. They're fighting it out and they're showing them in like lawn chairs, hanging out and being all cool. Yeah. And they've shown multiple scenes from Portland and like, it's all nice and good. So then Trump's like, well, I'm going to deploy to Portland anyway. So if I understood correctly, and I could be wrong, Newsom was like, what the shit's going on? Because he federalized if I understood correctly, he federalized the California National Guard and sent them, even after a judge told him no and put an injunction in place, sent them to Portland anyway. Newsom's like, yeah, they got deployed to Portland. And then the governor up there is like, yeah, they're here. And then the judge was like, no. And then she issued another order that said, no, there's no rebellion. There are no, and this is a quote, there is no rebellion in Portland. There are no laws that defendants are unable to execute with regular forces in Portland. She literally said, or he, I can't remember which.
I think it's a woman.
Judge Karen Emmergut. I can't pronounce that. So she literally said, what is happening there is completely fine and there's no issues. And they have pictures of like U.S. immigrations and customs and ICE is like National Guard's being deployed. And there's 2 injunctions against him doing that. And he did it anyway. And the judge is like, what the hell is going on? And they're like, what is it? Mr. Hamilton, you're an officer of this court. Aren't the defendants simply circumventing my order? So they've just ignored a federal judge's court order and said, and quote, exceeded his constitutional authority, referring to the president, and doesn't pose a danger of rebellion. So she literally rebutted the entire order from Trump and said that, no, this is not okay. And they are violating the law. And then lots of people are saying that because a federal judge has done this, there's been no warrant of this. There's no signs of anything that this is an invasion by the federal forces through an illegal order to invade a blue city that didn't vote for him. Now, you were asking me, why did he do this? And I referred to MS-13. It was leaked, supposedly. And we'll never find out the truth. But I believe this is happening. That Fox News was talking about it because, you know, they're going to back him whatever happens. And they showed footage of like burning cars and a riot, but that was from like forever ago. And he saw
from
that.
The George Floyd murders, right?
Yeah, something like that. Or maybe it was a BLM, who knows. But you remember, like, Portland had a whole thing happen years ago.
Yeah, there was a legit riot there, right?
There was some real bad stuff that happened there.
I remember that. And I denounce it all. Also, MAGA, I denounce that kind of violence.
Political violence, thank you very much. We're not... Anyway. But the person, the insider that leaked it, said that he saw that, thought that was happening right now, and that's why he went ahead and circumvented the judge and sent it. So fake news, Fox Faux News, which
state-run media.
Well, I mean, I don't know that they're state-run, but I do know that attention-grabbing news generates more viewership, which means they get more money from advertisements, and they're just going to do whatever they take to get the money. News loses loss. So Fox News had a $787 million loss for claiming the Minion machines cheated the election. So they lost almost $1 billion for pushing a false narrative and lost it. So
they're up to it again. Fox News is back at it.
News,
because they know that they can tell Trump what to do.
News. There was something about Fox News. Yeah. So back in 2020, Tucker Carlson had a lawsuit going, and he basically said Fox News pervasively argues that given Mr. Carlson's reputation, any reasonable viewers would arrive with an appropriate amount of skepticism about any statement he makes. So basically, Tucker Carlson is a fucking liar, is what they really said. And
read that statement
went on
again.
To basically said any reasonable person would realize that this is not real news. And he lost and it was a $10 million libel lawsuit over what he was saying. So repeatedly, they have lost lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit for lying to the American people. And you guys think
and their defense of
truth, like
their defense of that lie is, I mean, obviously we're lying. You shouldn't believe us. Like that is their excuse. Like obviously we're lying.
Any reasonable person should know that the Tucker Carlson show is not real news. It's
like we're not reasonable people. What are you
about? Like, and it's been thing after thing, and then the Dominion lawsuit, now this other libel lawsuit. But if you don't believe me, go look it up. That it's not a news outlet. And it's
agree.
Not a real news. And like these are their arguments in court to try to get them out of these libel lawsuits. And it's just like no objectable person would believe any of this.
No crap. Reasonable person. All right, let's go. Let's see what's going on in Chicago. 60 days. That sounds like they're going in because there's a siege. Unpaid. The government's closed.
This is unpaid. This is slavery.
Man, how does that land with you, MAGA? Our troops are unpaid, and now we're sending them to places they are not needed.
If you're getting sent,
that are not necessary.
If you're getting sent to this, and you know there's an injunction against this, and you're still willing to go along with a unlawful order according to a federal judge said this is an unlawful order, you're going to do it anyway, and you're doing it without money, are you upholding your sworn oath to stand up to illegal orders and dictators? Because it doesn't sound like it. Just saying.
And MAGA, why do you support this? I see these in the comments. We have a few clips going viral online.
And if you don't support it, you don't support tyranny, you don't support dictatorships, if you don't support it and you're still pro-MAGA, God bless you. Go out there peacefully and harmoniously protest.
They don't know how to do that.
Well, I mean, the South Carolina judge's house is kind of like proof in my mind of that. Or,
of a peaceful protest? That's a not peaceful protest.
Well, we can get into that judge's house burning down in South Carolina. But anyway.
That's another video. Hold up.
But they can continue.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what he's doing. We've been talking about it a lot on the podcast.
I told you when they were getting ready to deploy to California, what did I say? They want a situation, and they got it recently with that lady that got shot because her car ended up in a collision and ICE happened to be around, and they shot her, an unarmed civilian that just happened to be in a car accident because they were acting like assholes. And they shot a civilian, unarmed lady civilian, shot her.
Yeah.
And this is the way of it. They're looking for, and They couldn't get the insurrection act of Charlie Kirk, which is why they're deploying to two pro-democratic areas. Chicago. Who's the famous representative came out of Chicago? Who's connected with Chicago?
Al Capone?
Obama!
Obama!
The Obama Presidential Center, which is a lively hub, economic anchor, and beacon of democracy right here on the south side of Chicago. If you Google Obama Chicago, voila. So they're literally attacking his hometown, and they're attacking Portland, which is a pro-democratic area. So look at this. He's not sending this stuff to Florida or Texas or
Iowa,
Tennessee. He didn't go
Ohio.
to Tennessee. He went to Washington. He went to California. He's now going to Portland. And he's going to Chicago. These are blue cities. And why is he doing this? There's two reasons. Retribution. He's going against the people that didn't vote for him. Mm-hmm. And I read this the other day, and I didn't really connect it, but it makes sense. He's normalizing troops on the ground to attack people that didn't vote for him, so that in 2026, when it comes back to election time, he redeploys all these people to these areas to scare off voters that are going to vote against Republicans. It's terrorist tactics. It's Nazi tactics, to be honest. And that's one of the things I want to mention. I saw this weekend. I've been waiting to talk about this.
Let's go.
There's an ICE agent that was caught on film, and he had anti-Antifa. So anti-Antifa. So what does Antifa stand for? I Googled it just so I'd have it.
Wait. I got an answer. My hand is up.
No. I want to.
My hand's up.
I'm going to read it. I'm going to walk everybody through this so that they are on board. If you Google Antifa meaning, it literally comes up with the term Antifa is short for anti-fascist. Okay, Google, what is fascist? Fascism is characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, and forcible suppression of opposition, belief in the natural societal hierarchy, and the subordinate of individual interest. So
that's exactly what he's doing.
So that is called suppression of democracy. Now, I'm going to keep going with this. What are some examples of fascists in history? Google responds with Benito Mussolini, Adolf Hitler, Francisco Franco, Spain. These are the top three fascists.
I thought you Googled it and Trump came up. I'm like, no way, it already got there.
Not there yet. We haven't. He's still in power, and Google still has to bend the knee a little bit. Bending the knee. So to be anti, if we remember our English, is a double negative, which means to cancel out. So anti-fascist means fascist. That ICE agent is rooting for fascist, which means he's rooting for people like Hitler, which means he believes that Trump is like Hitler, and he's rooting for Trump.
I would argue he's not intelligent enough to get all that.
So to be anti-fascist is literally to be pro-fascist, which means that you are for fascism. I mean,
I already know already. He did not give it that much thought. He did not think about it that clearly. He did not think about it like that.
This is not my opinion. This is not made up. This is literally what it means. If you don't believe any of this, go Google it. It's very easy. I just read you the Googles. Like, this is like what it means. Now, if you look at what he's doing and you go look up Nazi Playbook or Hitler's Playbook, and you can literally see the steps that he took to gain power. And there's a checklist, and we're walking right through it. Project 2025 is an implementation and application of what the Nazis did to take power and fixing where they failed. Now, if you look at...
Let's walk through the 14 characteristics of fascism. Powerful and continuing nationalism. Fascist regimes tend to make a constant use of patriotic mottos, slogans, symbols, songs, and other paraphernalia. Flags are seen everywhere, as are flag symbols on clothing. That is totally Trump, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Number 2, disdain for the recognition of human rights. Because of fear of enemies and the need for security, the people in fascist regimes are persuaded that human rights can be ignored in certain cases because of the need. So that goes right into the deportation tactics of our administration currently.
And pause. And for anybody who's curious, go look it up. The courts just allowed them to revoke appropriate citizenship measures for 300,000 Americans. They just removed the American status, the legalized approval, and granted the citizenship for 300,000 Americans has been revoked. They're going to be deported. 300,000 Americans are going to be kicked out through back channel means from this country. These are not criminals. These are Americans who are paying taxes. They weren't all criminals. A bunch of them were asylum seekers who came here to start a new life. And they just got, so people are like, well, they're just going to kick out the illegals. It's like, no. These were legals. These were people who were legally here. 300,000 people that were legally here through legal means over many years are going to get deported because Trump didn't like them, because the regime wanted somebody to target and kick out, because the engine of making money off of deporting these Americans and deporting people in general and getting rid of people. And if you don't think that you're next, I hate to tell you, what was it I said the last one? If you're not rich and you're not white and you're not hetero,
you're a minority. You're a target.
Then you're a target. And even if you are those things, if you have Democrat on your title, and anybody who's confused about that, go look up Trump's discussion to the military. He says, we got to get rid of that pesky bug, those Democrats. We got to get rid of those Democrats. He literally said it in his speech recently. He's got to get rid of Democrats. So even if you're white, rich, hetero, male, and Democrat, you are now a target too. He said he's got to get rid of you. He's like, they're going to come bust down your door, guys. And if he can revoke citizenships for any Americans, then he thinks he can revoke citizenships for all Americans. And if you go look at it, he's talked about it before, about getting rid of citizenship for people based on ideology, religion, sexual preference, and getting rid of them. He's already talking about them being animals and not people and whatever. And if you look at what he's done with the Charlie Kirk shooting, before they even had a suspect, those damn liberals and those damn leftists, like, he's happy to villainize anybody regardless of the circumstances if he gets the opportunity.
All right, we're 2 for 2 on the fascist checklist, so let's keep going through it. The third one is identification of enemies, scapegoats as a unifying cause. The people are rallied into a unifying patriotic frenzy over the need to eliminate a perceived common threat or foe. Racial, ethnic, or religious minorities, liberals, communists, socialists, terrorists, etc. That is definitely him. We're 3 for 3 on the fascist playbook. Number 4, supremacy of the military. Even when there are widespread domestic problems, the military is given a disproportionate amount of government funding.
They just got the largest budget we've ever had.
Nice. They are building one of the biggest military forces in the world, full of the most uneducated people in the world.
Well, regardless,
that's scary as shit.
Even if you go look at the big, beautiful bill, more money was allocated to the U.S. military than has ever been in the history of the United States.
Yep. So we're 4 for 4 on the fascist playbook. Let's see number 5, rampant sexism. The government of fascist nations tend to be almost exclusively male-dominated. Under fascist regimes, traditional gender roles are made more rigid. Opposition to abortion is high, as is homophobia and any anti-gay legislation and national policy. So that's totally 5 for 5.
Abortion has already had a big change. And if you want to know about male,
right now,
if you want to look at male dominance, go back and watch Hegseth's speech to the military. We're going to have male standards. That was literally in his speech. We're going to have, like, he went into it.
He's changing what our military looks like. All right, number 6. Controlled mass media. Sometimes the media is directly controlled by the government, but in other cases, the media is indirectly controlled by government regulation or sympathetic media spokespeople and executives. Censorship, Jimmy Kimmel.
Well, no.
Stephen Colbert.
Actually, no. Go back and look at what Miller and Hegseth are doing. They told the media they had to sign a pact, and if they didn't sign that pact, what would the pact include? They could not release any statements that weren't approved prior by him or the government's media liaisons.
It's censorship in our free country.
And they've already been kicking out various groups based on what they say. Trump and almost every single press conference is like, oh, you guys are fake news. Why aren't you guys out of business? That's the demonization of the media.
Yeah.
And on top of that, how many of these different news agencies is he sued or have lawsuits or have their broadcast license threatened? Mm-hmm. That's what happened to Kimball, is they start threatening the approval of a merger. Like, they're
Harvard,
the government to control
Columbia University.
Well, that's another one. But anyway.
Number 7. We're 6 for 6. Obsession with national security. Fear is used as a motivational tool by the government and other over the masses. Of course, as soon as Charlie Kirk got shot, everybody on the right, it started from the top, from the presidency, but everybody, MAGA, everybody on the right was blaming Democrats. It was the Democrats' fault before we even knew who the shooter was. That is a mindset that has been trained, for centuries.
Normalized.
Yeah.
The word's normalized.
Normalized. I was reaching. All right. That's 7 for 7. 8. Religion and government are intertwined.
Trump Bible has been sold and put in schools in the United States.
Right.
Lawsuits
Governments and fascist nations tend to use the most common religion in the nation as a tool to manipulate public opinion. Religious rhetoric and terminology is a common form of government leaders, even when the major tenets of the religion are dramatically opposed by the government's policy or actions.
And honestly, if you go look at true Christian values, which I've talked about before, if you don't understand it, go talk to an actual person of the cloth or whatever leader of your actual religion. In fact, there was a whole thing today about one of the leaders of one of the largest Christian churches spoke out against the treatment of immigrants, and MAGA got pissed. I read that article. They were pissed. And we've talked about this recently with Lion Levitt. And her talking about how the Pope was wrong about the treatment of immigrants. And I was like, she literally, I put up a post recently on social somewhere or I read, I can't remember which, but it was talking about how she violated, I'm going to go look that up. I got to find that post. But
I'll go for the next one then.
She said that she disagreed with the Pope's interpretation of the treatment of immigrants by the United States. And I was like, well, wait, hold on. Because if I understood correctly, she was directly contrasting his statement. And yeah, here I'll find it. The Pope is literally the living leader of their faith. And she said that the Pope was wrong. But the Pope, by the Catholics, is supposedly called forth by God in order to speak on behalf of God. So
she doesn't believe in God? Is that what you're saying?
She violated Exodus 23-5. Number 3 says, "Thou shalt have no gods before me." So if she literally says the person ordained by God to speak for Christianity is wrong, then she has put MAGA before God, which is a sin amongst
Caroline Levitt. You're going to hell, sweetheart.
I mean, I can't speak for God because to me that's a sin. But if my interpretation is this is correct based on my views, then I believe she has committed a cardinal sin in order to protect a fascist regime.
Lion Levitt, you need to take that cross off immediately.
Well, she has. I haven't seen her back with it in a while.
I have.
Anyway.
All right.
I'm surprised it hasn't caught fire yet.
All right. Number 9, corporate power is protected. The industrial and business autocracy of a fascist nation often are the ones who put the government leaders into power, creating a mutually beneficial business/government relationship and power elite.
I don't need to speak to this. Go Google it. The reversals of environmental protections, the buying up of stakes in companies by the government, like their 10% interest in Intel, their 10% interest in a mineral company. I just read today.
And just giving tax breaks to the 1%. Tax breaks to the 1% is enough to cover that whole thing.
I mean, yeah. But rollbacks of government regulations is another. The tax break, oh my God, it's so obvious. Labor power is suppressed. Trump has literally been breaking union power in government and other places and rolling back any union power across the board. They want to suppress union power or labor power, because union power is labor power to the best of my understanding, to the maximum they can. Why? So they can suppress rights and they can suppress pay and they can turn the conditions back to having full control by the corporations like they did in the 1910s.
That's 10 for 10. Number 11, disdain for intellectuals and the arts. I think of Jimmy Kimmel right when I said that.
Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah.
Jon Stewart. We can
Stephen Colbert.
Just
Colin Kaepernick.
And 12. Don't forget, they did sue to shut down the Trump movie and They've sued over other movies and other TV shows. South Park, how they've talked nasty about South Park.
Yeah. We should do an episode on that movie they made about Trump and Roy Cohn. I have to watch it, though.
I'm not going to watch that shit. Sorry.
All right, number 12, obsession with crime and punishment. Under fascist regimes, the police are given almost limitless power. All right, right before we jumped on this podcast, I was watching a clip on Instagram, which it was a young black gentleman who had been pulled over. There was a couple videos. The first one, it just showed him being calm and sitting in his car, and the cop broke the window, hit him in the face. Then they pulled him out, slammed him against the car, hit him in the face again.
Oh, there's dozens of videos like that.
Oh, there's a million of them. But what I'm saying, because of that, is the police, the regular police force, is also emboldened. Like they're sneaking in cheap shots where they probably normally wouldn't.
In Chicago, if I read this correctly, in Chicago, ICE agents tear gassed the local police force.
Thank God.
I mean, if you really want a good example of this, Trump,
like in opposition, you mean? Like they were taking on, like the ICE was here and the police were here and they were fighting.
We don't know if it was accidental or on purpose, but they tear gassed the police. They obviously weren't working with the police, otherwise they would have tear gassed the police. But anyway, right. But if you want a really good one, Supreme Court signed and settled law that it is protected by the First Amendment to burn an American flag. It is a First Amendment right to burn an American flag. Trump signed what I understand from scholars to be an illegal executive order that would require 1 year of jail time for the burning of an American flag in opposition to settled law from the Supreme Court. So he is obsessed with crime and punishment when it comes to the burning of an American flag, which we all know the Supreme Court said is protected under our First Amendment.
The Supreme Court does not have the power in this country.
The day after, or the day of or after he signed that, there was a U.S. veteran in Washington that purposely burnt an American flag and was arrested for it illegally.
Tough luck. Sorry about your luck, kid.
Yeah, all right, we're not a country. Well, that was the thing I was reading earlier, and they were like, what is the Supreme Court going to do over the tariffs? And the article and the people discussing it basically said the Supreme Court is going to find some amazingly worded, very carefully way of backing out of it so they don't have to make a decision. But they're going to have to say something because Trump's telling them that they're legal. Lower federal courts have said they're illegal, the tariffs. And based on everything I've heard from different scholars, it's basically no, he's not allowed to do that. And the federal courts are supposedly putting a stop to it, but they're still doing it. And Trump asked the Supreme Court to intercede. And the Supreme Court has a problem because they know it's illegal because that's only something that can be passed via constitutional law, via the House and Senate. But Trump is willy-nilly changing it anytime he wants. And they haven't made a decision because they don't know how to get around making Trump mad versus violating law. And there's like no precedent in the Constitution that gives Trump the executive power to do it. So what are they going to do? Well, if they rule against him and he continues to do it, it invalidates the power of the Supreme Court. If he rules with them, then they are distinctly violating the law and the spirit of the Constitution, and they are in turn, as I understand it, breaking the law. So they're kind of screwed because they created the tyrant and they can't control him anymore. Just like
what are they going to do?
Alberto Garcia. They've already, and my understanding is Alberto Garcia is in custody by ICE. There's a stop order that prevented him from being deported, even though the Supreme Court ruled that he had done nothing wrong and was illegal to be deported, but they're trying to do it anyway. Like,
just so they're
holding him hostage.
Yeah.
He's an example. Evidence, with plenty of decisions from judges, including the Supreme Court, that it was illegal to deport him, and ICE still got him in custody trying to deport his ass. Right. We have a country being run against the opposition law, and I'm going to go back and quote Trump. I am the head of the government, and whatever I say is legal, regardless of what any judge says. That was him.
He believes that.
And he said it publicly. So we don't have a judicial branch that can control and enforce our Constitution or our settled laws or anything from Congress, which is why Congress and the Senate are doing shit. It's because they've lost control. And until the Republicans wake the motherfucker up and impeach that motherfucker, we have lost control of our government. And we are going to see the continued movement into fascism and totalitarianism.
So we keep talking about it like we're moving into fascism, but we are 12 out of 12 on a 14-thing list.
Into.
I think we're already there. That's my point. Is
a law if it's not enforced? No. And that's what it comes down to.
All right, let's move on to number 13. Rampant cronyism and corruption. Fascist regimes almost always are governed by groups of friends and associates. Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Marjorie Taylor Greene,
Musk.
Musk.
There's nobody else we need to put out there. Elon Musk.
Dan Bongino.
He was not a government employee, and he went in there and destroyed things that had been approved, signed, and marched into law by Congress and the Senate.
Right. So
USAID is a great example.
The last one is fraudulent elections, and I hope we can get on the same page about that. Everyone knows that he tried to steal an election in 2020, right? Can we agree on that fact that Donald Trump tried to steal an election in 2020? Has enough time passed where we can accept that?
Even if we don't, the reality is the 2026 election is kicking up, and there's numerous things in play. There's let's look at the North Carolina judge that won. It took her 6 months, multiple court cases, Supreme Court having to intercede before she was able to rightly take her position via the election. There was recounts, there was inspections, there was multiple court cases about fraud and validation of votes, and she won by a good margin, and they fought that for 6 months. It took 6 months before she could be sworn in. And if you don't think this isn't going to happen to every fucking flip of every seat on every level, if a Democrat wins every single place across the nation between 2026 and 2028, you are insane. And then the voter rights purges, movements against Democrats, soldiers with guns at voting stations, changing of laws to make it harder to vote, the national ID that they keep talking about to make it available to vote got shot down. Every single lever that they could possibly come up with to stop a person from voting is happening right now. And Trump has joked and joked and joked about starting a war to stop the election, a la Venezuela. If they can't figure out how to do it legally, they're going to do it illegally. And your ability to vote between now and 2028 is probably going to get removed unless Republicans realize that they are next.
Hopefully they will. Here, I wanted to show something real quick about that list that I just went over, because it was created in 2003, way before Donald Trump was running for office, because I know a lot of people in MAGA are going to be like, I bet they wrote that list after Trump was,
You know what they wrote this list after? 1940.
Yeah, Hitler.
This is based on what happened in 1930s and 1940s.
Yeah. And we're doing the exact same thing, guys. We're doing the exact same thing right now.
If you want to know who Antifa is,
I'm Antifa.
Carry the flag.
You're Antifa.
They carry the flag that has the stars and stripes on it. We went to war, and thousands of Americans died fighting tyranny, fighting fascism, and our military was and should be Antifa. That is what our country is founded on. That is what the Constitution is based on. That's what our Bill of Rights is based on. That's what our Declaration of Independence is about, is anti-fascism.
Here's what the Antifa flag.
We are supposed to be Antifa.
This is what the Antifa official flag is.
And if you don't understand what Antifa means now, go look it up.
There's your Antifa flag, Americans.
You're still confused. This is the flag of Antifa.
This is the anti-fascist flag, everyone. Bow to it.
This is the flag that was carried under the name of Antifa during World War I and World War II.
I'm sure they didn't shorten it up back then. They probably just called it anti-fascist back then. But, us millennials, we like to give it a nickname.
Antifa is literally what America was doing in the 1940s. Antifa is what we did to fight Hitler.
I am Antifa. Most of you are Antifa. You just don't know it yet.
Go look it up. Go Google it. Go ask AI. Is Antifa what World War II is about? It'll tell you, yes, Hitler was a fascist, and anybody who fought Hitler was anti-fascist. Therefore, America was Antifa during the 90s. And if you don't think you should be Antifa now, you are insane or ignorant or both. Or a fascist. Pick one.
All right, well, let's leave it there. Let us know what you think in the comments.
And I watched that argument with a MAGA strong supporter, and they said, so you support fascism? And the MAGA guy says, yes, I support fascism. I support Trump as a totalitarian dictator of the United States. And they said it.
I support that. I support that gentleman who said all that stuff, because at least he had the balls to own up to what he is. Like, I respect him for that. I do not. I support him for having the balls to say the truth, say his truth in front of people.
No, I commend him for speaking his truth, however ignorant or insane it is.
Yeah, he's nuts.
At least he came out and said it. And if you have a Nazi flag, you support fascism. You support human superiority over your fellow man, which is literally the antithesis of America and our founding fathers. Like, you want to know what constitutional law is? Constitutional law is anti-fascist. It's Antifa. Constitutional law is Antifa. The reason we have votes, the reason we vote in our president is Antifa. The reason we have multiple branches of government is Antifa. The reason we have a Bill of Rights is Antifa. The reason we have 200 plus years of democracy is literally Antifa. The reason we have democracy in the first place is Antifa. The founding fathers were Antifa. Every president up till Trump was Antifa.
My phone is Antifa. My cup.
The Allies were Antifa. World War II was about Antifa.
All right, let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. Take us out of here, dude.
Anti-Antifa is totalitarianism. If you are fighting Antifa, you're fighting America proper. That's the bottom line of it. And if you don't understand this, or you don't believe me, or you're confused, go Google it. Go to a local school and ask. Go to a priest and a minister and ask them what Christ says about this stuff. Go find somebody to help you understand the error if you are anti-Antifa. And if you don't understand how Christ would feel about all this stuff, go get help.
If you're MAGA, you're fundamentally un-American. And I will stand on that. Argue with me in the comments. See if you can prove me wrong, but I doubt you can. All right? My name is Chris McIntyre. That is JTrain McDougal's. This is Almost Above Average. We'll see you next time.